For half an hour, we finally get to have a chat. Luke King, congratulations on third place at Sydney Olympic Park last weekend. What a finish to the Toyota 86 Series.
Yeah, mate. Hello, everyone on the Central Coast. Great way to finish the year for us after such a tough season. And look, we've got the trophy sitting here. Butts has been polishing it for me, and it's got Sydney Olympic Park on it. Something that I've always wanted to put in my trophy cabinet, and now we've got it.
So it's a piece of memorabilia for you because the final ever race at Sydney Olympic Park.
Yeah, exactly right. That's why it was such a special weekend, you know. I'd been wanting to race there since the inaugural event in 2009, and we finally got to, and we killed it.
You know what I like? You can talk the talk. There's no doubt about that. Would we agree Luke King can talk the talk?
You bet.
But you can walk the walk because you were confident you could go to Sydney Olympic Park and do something special.
Yeah,
and you backed it up.
Well, when I was first thinking about doing the street circuit, it was a bit of a toss-up in my mind budget-wise because obviously it's a risk running around in between two concrete walls there. But it's something that I've always wanted to try, and I talked it up inside my head thinking that I could do it. And in practice one, my engineer came over the radio and said, "Mate, you're P2 at the moment." And I was just it just felt right to me, and bouncing over those curbs is just amazing fun. So
and that's, you touched on how much you enjoyed that aspect of it, like, you know, the closeness of the walls being, and, you know, going around the corners and, you know, you're rubbing right up against that wall, but you've got to focus on where you're heading. How different is that style of racing to, you know, a conventional track?
Yeah, it's so much different. I think that for me, it just adds that extra bit of excitement. I think that, you know, I've been racing for so long now that I'm just used to being on a normal circuit and not as much risk. And just having those walls there just keeps every corner exciting and every lap exciting. So at a street circuit, you're pretty much just on edge constantly. And that's what I was sort of getting off from it.
But certainly less forgiving as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad we didn't experience that. There was probably about 8 or 9 cars in our category that did. There was 1 or 2 that actually were written off after the weekend. So I'm just glad that we had the pace to be up the front and stay out of trouble.
You went into the event wanting to set a lap record. You know, you'd leave Sydney as the last person to set a record there. You couldn't quite do that. But what was the highlight of the weekend for you in terms of your racing?
Yeah, I think for us, qualifying was the first one that I look back on. We were 5th and 7th in the first 2, the opening practice sessions. That's how we finished. And I went home that night, had an early night's sleep, and really just prepared myself for the next day and tried to relax and just enjoy the event as much as possible. And I find that's when I drive my best. And when we put it on the second row of the grid, although it wasn't pole and it wasn't the record, it was still a really big achievement for our little team. And to be fighting against the top 3 in the championship was really good.
Couldn't quite catch the front 2 runners. And tell us about those guys, because a few of them are really being identified as drivers of the future.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, it's good to be in that mix of guys. Will Brown, who won the whole weekend, he also won the Australian F4 Championship, and he won the 86 Series. Cam Hill, he was the winner of the 2015 Australian Formula 4 title, who we'd raced against. So those 2 guys are really quick, and they were squabbling pretty hard in front of me, and I was trying my hardest to catch them, and we just couldn't quite get there.
And you've got your dad, Brad, who's in the studio. He's an integral part of the team. Brad, come on forward to the microphone. You've been involved in racing for quite a long time now. Tell us some of your experiences in relation to, you know, you've worked with Alan Moffat, Peter Brock, Colin Bond, all those sort of drivers. Give us a bit of an insight.
I used to jig high school to go to race meetings.
Wow! Have a listen to the timber. My goodness! Listen to that bottom end. Sorry to interrupt, my friend. Keep going.
Yeah, jig school. I used to get lift to the racetrack. Transporter would come by on the Hume Highway, pick me up, and then it just led into a full-time motor racing career for me. Wanted to be a race driver, never achieved that. So I worked for Moffat and all the greats, Dick Johnson, all those people.
Can you give us a top 3 of results at Mount Panorama, the great race?
Well, first for me would be our Moffat Ford Dealer Team 1-2. That's my biggest achievement, or part of the biggest achievement that I've been with. Other one would be being with John Goss in 1974 when I was still jigging school.
The big wet.
Yeah, where it was soaking wet. They wanted to call the race off. That was a big deal for me. I don't remember much of it, but anyway.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
What were the best cars at Mount Panorama?
Falcons.
Ford through and through.
Yeah,
Always.
to a point. I mean, they're all race cars. You know, they're all great cars. They're all purpose designed for race.
What about the best driver, in your opinion?
Have to be Alan Moffat. Yeah.
Well, what about your favourite driver of all time, outside of V8s and domestic racing?
That would be in America. My favourite driver. Probably Bill Elliott or Rusty Wallace. Rusty Wallace, well-known figure in NASCAR racing in America.
A bit of shake and bake.
Yeah. Gee,
Oh,
I
good.
tell you, you could be the next rock jock on the M's. I tell you, sounding
I'll second
sensational.
that.
Yeah. So, Luke, what's happening for you in 2017, my friend?
Yeah, so right now, before Christmas, I'm still very busy trying to sort out deals for next year. We'd really like to run the Eastern Creek Karts car again, so we're going to be talking to Gary about sealing that deal up. So we're approaching a lot of local people around the Central Coast and trying to really muster up some local support for next year, because we really want to take on this 2017 Toyota 86 Championship, because there's a lot of prize money at the end of it and a big opportunity with Toyota. And one of my dreams, as I've said before, is to become a manufacturer's driver and race overseas. So, you know, if we can do the right things, say the right things off the track and perform on track, we'll get the opportunity to do that. And hopefully in the next couple of years, you'll see me racing for Lexus or Honda or whoever.
I'll tell you, it's been fantastic to watch it on the undercard of the V8s. And I know you want to say about Drew Ridge as well from the Brian Hilton team. What a weekend he had as well. He's only 17 years of age.
Yeah, he's the same age as my little brother. So I sort of look at that and just can't believe that someone that age can be racing around the streets with me. So he's had a really good season this year, and we were teammates earlier in the year and we got along fairly well. Drew finished 5th in that final race of the weekend at Sydney. So I think a street circuit brings out the real driver's talent, and obviously Drew showed through in that as well, which is great for him.
Well, congratulations again on behalf of the entire panel. We're decked out in the LKR shirts.
And the
there's-
podium hats, mate. Don't forget that.
Podium, mate. He's got the Dunlop hat on at the moment. It's unbelievable. You look like a racing car driver.
There's just one guy without the LKR shirt on, and
No,
It's Cole Trickle.
he missed out.
Cole Trickle.
this is the locker room. A quick commercial break. Running behind time here.